good time.
Okay, sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Grant. I'm a neurodiverse coach working with individuals, couples, and families, helping them understand their opportunities to optimize their relationships and themselves as they're growing together to become more understanding, supportive, and just better, healthier people. So I have with me today one of my favorite clients is Jack. And I met Jack, oh my, over 2 years ago. I think we've known each other, Jack. And I wanted to invite Jack to share about his journey as an individual, as a neurodiverse individual. So, Jack, when and how did you learn about neurodiversity in your life?
Well, thanks for having me on your interview today. I really appreciate it, Barbara.
Um,
Um, I back in 2021, I had some problems interacting with my wife's family on a family vacation, and so I decided that time to take responsibility for my actions, and I decided to get a psychological evaluation.
okay.
Uh, I did um, also at this about that time, uh, a counselor my wife and I were working with said that, "Oh, Jack, you're on the spectrum. You knew that, didn't you?" I go, "What's that?
Wow.
Why are you
Wow.
telling me now?" And she
Yeah.
was like surprised, like I didn't know. Like,
Right.
really? And then I I had no clue what she was talking about. So I went and did like a 4-hour evaluation,
Mhm.
and that's just the way I normally roll. I like bring it on. Okay, if there's something wrong, I want to know about it. I'm going to deal
Yeah.
with this,
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was a little more than I was
Yeah.
ready for until we got the results, and I'm going, what? I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had a little trouble accepting that one, but I still, you know,
Yeah.
decided to move forward and just learn everything I could.
Mhm.
But I didn't, it's like you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know how much I really needed to know and learn. That was a lot.
You've done
Oh,
amazingly, Jack, by the way. You're just you're a busy businessman. You have a successful business of your own. You lead an office of people. And you have a very dynamic volunteer life, serving at church, playing music,
yeah,
sports activities, father of three amazing adult children. And so, but you made time for coaching. And I want to commend you publicly for being one of the most teachable people I've ever worked with, in that you
thank you.
really had an enthusiastic curiosity about whatever I was giving you, whether it was about neurodiversity or your wife's differences or your relatives' differences, understanding your kids better, um,
Mhm.
learning about boundaries and all kinds of things. So maybe give us a little snapshot or a little summary what you remember that you personally struggled with prior to, coaching with me or getting a handle on any of this. What do you remember? I know you said your relatives were a little, Jack, but what do you remember experience?
Sure.
Yeah.
I would really have trouble getting triggered by external um, things going on around me while
Mhm.
I'm driving or walking. I'm always looking around for I'm picking up lots of things that are going on,
Mhm.
and I have a naturally heightened level of you know information coming in. A little more higher level of anxiety. I get triggered by these things going on around me. I'm
Mhm.
jumpy. I'm kind of nervous. Like, oh, what's that? I'm with my family in the city. We're in a
Right.
parking lot. We have to walk on the side of the parking lot because we might get run over, or
Right. Okay.
or that person didn't stop. I'd get triggered and it was just driving people around me crazy
Mm,
because I'm noticing all these details,
mhm,
and
mhm.
then I would always, blame it on my job. I'm in, insurance business. I see that happen all the time.
Right.
So I was really having trouble being triggered by sounds, actions of others, smells, and it was harder. I didn't realize
Mhm.
why. I wanted to be a little calmer, but I had no clue what was going on.
Well, I remember hearing about that when you started, and um, at that time you had never really identified that hypersensitivity and hyperperceptivity that you had was actually linked to a neurological wiring that God had given you. And
Hmm.
that the very things that make you so talented and gifted also can be your undoing. Like everything, our greatest strength can be our greatest weakness. So, what kind of things do you remember, learning and coaching, and as you were going, that began to be helpful to you, helpful ideas and helpful strategies?
Um, I think really helpful things, different concepts that I'd never heard before, mindfulness, boundaries. Like I had to read over and over these books, that you would give me I'd get on audiobook. I had no
Mhm,
clue what healthy boundaries, what is mindfulness.
mhm.
Um, I always say I was living without a full operating manual, you know,
Yeah.
and so those are some things that
Mhm.
you've helped me with, tools in my toolbox. So I'm ready to deal with uh, things a lot better. But I didn't know what those things were before.
Well, I remember recently, you and I had been working, getting you going in the habit of box breathing, for instance.
Hmm.
And give me an example of how something like that has actually been useful to you. Any situations you've been able to apply that in any circumstances?
Oh, sure. I sometimes when I'm overwhelmed with stimuli, when I was skiing last winter, I love skiing, but I get nervous, I get anxiety when I'm on the chairlift because
Mhm.
I think it's gonna stop and I'm stuck up there and I can't
Right.
get off. And so there are multiple factors. I'm on there with a crowd of people I don't know. They're loud, they're swearing, they're doing gross things. And I'm on the chairlift and I'm thinking, so all these things are piling on me.
Mhm.
And so I box breathe the whole way up the chairlift. Now that sounds crazy because like, hey, you're skiing. This is fun. I love skiing. I just don't like the chairlift ride when I'm strapped on the chairlift going all the way up and I'm like, how high am I off the ground? 100. I can't jump off of here. If I really feel this thing stuck,
Yeah.
I can't. I might want to jump off.
Yeah.
But so I just start box breathing, and that's awesome. And then they're like, "Hey Jack, wake up. We're at the top of the chairlift. Come on, what are you doing?" Like, and I have to
Wow.
explain to my son, like, "Ryan, I'm just going to be checked out here for a little while." You know, trying to understand, even though he's wired like me.
Yeah.
Um, and I have to explain him. I'm doing the box breathing, and that really helps. I've done that, like, if I'm on the airplane, I'm stuck in the back, and I gotta get through that. I'll do that. That helps. So
Or in
that,
line to launch your boat, I remember you said that.
yeah, I'll do that. I'll get things that get me worked up.
Yeah.
But the box breathing is really great. I need to think about doing that all the time, but that really, really, it like tricks your brain. It really
Yeah.
works.
Well, you know why? I recently watched another DVD or a little special about it again, and it turns out that when our chest muscles expand and contract in regulated ways, like we're breathing normally, our chest muscles actually send electronic impulses to our brain to tell our brain everything's fine.
I
So
believe that.
if our brain is like going off on a cycle of fretting and fear thinking and, negative rumination,
Hmm.
and the chest goes, no, everything's good. We're fine down here. You know?
Right.
It's like,
Right. So, but I'm also, I've got all these new layers of tools to get myself in a better position.
yeah,
I'm like, as you have taught me, I can never eliminate triggers from my life permanent. It's going to happen. I'm going to get, triggered or tripped up.
yeah,
But I'm taking pieces out of the equation so I have less of a struggle. I'm getting older. I want to have an easier path through life. I don't want to. So maybe I'll go skiing, when it's not crowded, or I'll go cross country skiing. I'm telling my son, hey, look, buddy, I gotta
yeah,
go when I can't go in Vail on a holiday week. I gotta go in the country, quiet. I may not ski today. I gotta I gotta save my money and go to the place where I don't ride the crowded bus to the
right,
chairlift. I don't like the crowded shuttle bus.
right.
I'm gonna travel less. Like when I went on the free flight with my son's airline, I got stuck in the back and I told the flight attendant, I'm sorry, I got to get off. I can't go in. I can't sit between the two football
Yeah,
players all the
yeah,
way from
yeah,
Salt Lake to Chicago. Nope. So now I'm just going to travel less and I'm going to shop for a business class rate where I can sit in seat 1A. And then I'm good. It's
yeah.
just a fact.
Oh,
I'm kidding
that's
myself
smart.
if I think I can box breathe. Box breathing is great, but I don't want to do it on a 3 hour
Yeah,
flight the whole
yeah,
time.
yeah. No,
But
it's
when
true.
certain cases, it's great.
It is. It
But
keeps.
I'm doing that plus other things to be nice to myself,
Mm,
which I didn't know I had to do that in the old days, but now I do, and my life is better because I have a lot better ride through the day now because I understand how I work. I'm pulling out the the different things that could trigger me,
hmm.
and I know what to do if I do.
Yeah,
I see my heart rate going up and I go, oh, there's adrenaline going into my body. I'm
yeah,
just going to I don't like, but I really am aware of it now.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Like,
just take some deep breaths and slow down. Might have to walk outside.
right.
But boy, it's so cool when you realize what's going on inside. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It
It,
is. Well, it's
it's
self-aware.
incredible.
It
It's
is. It's becoming self-aware.
Yeah,
And at the same time, I think what I've seen in you is a growing confidence that
right,
even if you get into a tight spot, you have tools and you can get through it. And,
right. I
you're
can't.
not going to die. Nobody's going to die. And you can kind of decompress and have a little bit more confidence that you're not afraid, you're not sitting paralyzed in any way. And not only with the physical world that we're talking about, but with the relational world.
Right,
Because I know, when we started, there were definitely some stressful relational situations in your life, which,
right.
that's where we worked on the boundaries, on communicating in love and in respect, but
Hmm.
letting people know what your limits, what your speed limits were, and not being afraid to say so, because
That's right.
loving right, that was you being real and vulnerable and transparent and respecting them, and hopefully they would respect you. So tell me a little bit more about how that's been working for you in your life.
That's a good one. I think of it like sometimes advocating for myself,
Hmm.
understanding boundaries. Last winter, I was on a ski trip with my son, and I think he's wired like I am, and he's young. He's like 26, and he was having a little temper tantrum kind of a thing. Maybe, he's probably hungry, tired, whatever. And he was starting to get, you know, down, swearing at me or whatever. And I said, hey,
Hmm.
son, I'm not gonna. allow you to treat me like that. I'm leaving the restaurant and I'm gonna go back to the hotel
Mhm.
and, I'm not gonna allow you to treat me that way. I'm gonna leave now." And he didn't like that. And
Yeah,
I had to do that in the last couple, 2 years ago, I started doing that too. And I just
right.
said, "I don't wanna be with you if you're gonna treat me that way." And I just walked out of the and then and he'd come running on the street, asking me, "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Dad.
Mhm.
I'm calm now. I
Right,
don't want you to leave, Dad." I'm going, "Look, I don't know if I really wanna be with you. That may not do it for me, Ryan. I'm not convinced."
right,
I was just being honest with him. And
right.
so that was good. In the old days, I I didn't really think like that. I just
Mm,
would just wing it and it would just get and maybe I'd yell back at him or
right,
get
right,
worse. But now I
right.
just know I don't have to be treated that way. I don't if he's swearing, using foul language, the way I'm not uncomfortable, I'm leaving.
Well, you're modeling for him and for everyone that you're with how to set a limit proactively, how not to react and get into it,
Right.
get your dander up yourself and not participate in a de-escalating you know tirade of throwing mud at each other. And in general, I think your understanding and compassion for your son, because you understand the wiring now,
Mhm.
you're modeling for him how an adult man knows his neurology, understands his neurology, works with his neurology, takes responsibility for that. And in time, if he has a few situations where he is bumping and getting bruised and bruising others, maybe he'll say, "Hey, Dad, what was that book you read? And, what was that thing about
He
boundaries?" And,
Yeah,
um,
he's picking up on that. He had a problem with his mom one day,
mhm.
a couple months ago, his mom, and she was real getting angry, and he just stayed, he said, "Mom, you know, I'm not gonna let you treat me." He just
Wow.
said, you can it wasn't really appropriate the way she was yelling at him, and he just said
Mhm.
he just
Yeah,
stayed real calm and just
right.
stayed silent and
Dignity.
said, "No,
Yeah.
not gonna go along with that, Mom." But he stayed calm, didn't yell. Um, but that's a
Something
great way to look at it.
Something you've done that I have some of the other fathers that I work with, and you did it, and you did a lovely job, was do you remember I invited you to write a letter to each of your kids to tell them, "Hey, I've had an assessment. I'm autistic, I'm on the spectrum." And now we're even thinking you probably have ADHD as well, right?
Mhm.
Because one of your kids does. And do you remember, what that was like to share that with them, and how did that affect their ability to understand you and normalize who their dad is and, begin to appreciate your growth process?
I think it wasn't like immediate, and they didn't call me up and say, "Hey, Dad, that's really great. Thanks for that letter.
Mhm.
Let's talk about." No, they didn't really talk about that much, but I could see that they realized Dad's really trying to get to a better place and grow. And
Yeah.
I think they appreciated that and they respected what I was doing. So they have a little deeper, and they're growing up too, but I think they have uh, extra appreciation for Dad, knowing that I'm really trying.
Mhm.
Cut Dad a little slack. I think they know what's going on. They see me
Yeah.
growing and trying, actively. He's not sitting on his. He's always trying to. Even
Right.
even in the old days, I would always try to improve on problems. But I didn't really know how to get better
Yeah. Yeah.
before I started
You
getting.
didn't have the roadmap.
And you can get counseling. There's a lot of counselors out there, but there aren't. You know, you're sorry. You're a great counselor. You really it's hard to find somebody who really knows what they're doing because I've had people in the past like, that didn't really help me that much, a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's
Well,
also really
I
helpful.
think it's a combination of some things that I've lived and learned, and I had to become a good learner to become
Mhm.
a helpful teacher.
Hmm.
And, I myself experience change and growth. And once you do that, then you believe others can experience change and growth if they're motivated. And
Right,
so it's like I say, it's easy working with you because you're so motivated. You make it easy for me to
right.
make suggestions, and not everything I say is something we work on or do. And you're always bringing up ideas of, hey, what about this and what about that? And you know I love it that you, even when you're not sure about a particular situation, you're happy to text me and say, hey, you got 15 minutes, you got 5 minutes to chat about this, and we can knock around some ideas. And now you feel like you've got a little clearer understanding what you want to do, and
Hmm.
how you want. Or and a lot of what's happened lately, Jack, is that I've just given you confirmation of what you already think you want to do.
Yeah,
And I
right.
love that. Like,
Yeah,
Jack's got it. He's like, oh,
yeah.
you
It's
know.
getting better. It's getting better because a lot of times, yeah, it's been like that lately. I
Yeah.
kind of figured it out
Yeah.
on my own with the tools that I've gotten from you, and it's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of nice to bounce. But yeah, those 15 minutes or those we can get through those really fast now. That's
Yeah.
good.
No, they're very productive. So another thing that I remember you doing a really great job of embracing and making a big part of your mode of operation, especially at work. I introduced you to the book I Hear You,
Oh
which is
yeah.
all about becoming a really receptive listener and a validating person, whether you
That's
understand their feelings or not, or
right.
you
Or
agree with their
or whether
feelings.
you agree with the person or not. Yeah, that book, I would recommend that anybody listening to this now, get the book as soon as you're done with this podcast interview. Buy the book, get it on audiobook for your car, buy the paper one, and go through it like 5 times
Yeah.
because and I bought one for everybody, all my employees. I probably have like 6 people that work for me. I got and I give everybody like, hey, you finish this book, you get $50 bonus on your check because it's going to help you every day. We're in a service business here,
Yeah.
and we are helping customers all day long with their insurance. And sometimes people get a little tense. They
Yeah.
had a incident, accident, somebody got hurt, they didn't like the bill, and boy, that really helps you, you know, um, listen better.
Mhm.
And when you're listening better, you're connecting with the person that's speaking to you, and
Mhm.
they might be upset. But when you are a better listener using the tools in the book, you're going to uh, diffuse the situation. You're going to bring the anxiety level way down right away because the
Yeah.
person isn't, most people are not used to being heard, and
Right.
you're building rapport. You're validating their emotions. And most people, you don't have to agree, but if a person feels like you're listening to what they're really saying
Right.
and letting them speak, that's really important. Most people don't know how to do that, and it's just not human nature to do that.
Yeah.
That's huge, and it's so unusual, and people are caught off guard, but it really works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I use that, but I want to go through it again. I think I'm gonna put it on the way home tonight again because it's really, really good. And it doesn't
It
take
is.
that long. You can go through that book in a day or two.
It is. I found that book. It was so funny. I was driving from Southern California to Northern California, and I didn't have any music playing, and there was no radio stations. And I was like, what am I going to listen to? And I stopped at a gas station to get gas, and they had Wi-Fi, and I downloaded the Audible book of I Hear You. I said, well, I'll get free Audible. And it was the one that popped up like, we think you'd like this. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And I listened to him. I finished the entire book in 3 hours, like driving north.
Yeah,
And I like the Audible book because it's the guy, Michael Sorensen, who wrote it, him talking. It's him.
he's
And
great.
I
He has
love
a
the way he,
podcast too. And
yeah,
he has a podcast that's pretty good. It's like the I Hear You podcast. But if you're on autism spectrum or if you have ADHD, it's it's gonna be a little harder to not like, oh, look at that beautiful bird at the bird
yeah,
feeder or whatever. I don't want to do that when I'm talking. I want to really give them my undivided attention. And I
Mhm.
really want them to feel important when I'm with them and feel appreciated. And I need a little extra help. I need some skill. And so I can be maybe even better than people that are neurotypical.
I
I,
think you are.
I mean, so maybe people are like, there's not, he doesn't have autism. No way.
Oh, I
I
think
can fake it pretty well. But
well, but it's not faking it. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not. You're
yeah,
right. But
yeah,
why
but
not? If I know I have a weakness, well, just work so hard on that weakness that maybe I'm better than people that are natural at
well,
it.
you're retraining really what's happening as we're going here, Jack. You're living proof that you are rewiring your brain. You really,
Right. I
because you
think,
had all these old habits that were very unconscious and just lots of triggers and lots of reactivity. And now you're, literally observing yourself, seeing your opportunities, making new choices, thinking new thoughts like, no, I could do this instead. I can feel better. I can have a better impact and I can speak in this way or listen in this way. And you keep practicing those things. So practice, there's a saying a golf pro once told me. He goes, "Yeah, Barbara, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent."
yeah, that's
So,
right.
yeah. So
Right.
whatever you do and do and do again, your brain is like
Yeah.
going, "Oh, this is our new habit. We're going to write a data package. We're going to program
Yeah.
this and automate this." And you're after 6 months of neglect, your old bad habit just sort of
Hmm.
gets pruned off. Your brain goes, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't need that anymore."
So, so I would just say to anybody, just listen, work with you, Barbara. You're going to bring up tools, but another thing that I like what you do is you don't throw more on me than what I can handle.
Hmm.
And also if I don't do I know when I meet with you, I need to do my homework. You hold me accountable. You're not, you're a strong person. You don't let me show up like, and not invest in my doing my homework. You know what I mean? Like you hold me, and that's good. So I know when I'm gonna meet with you, I better have done the reading. I want to be ready. I'm a little, but that's good because
It
we
is
want to
good.
get something done. We want to
It
grow.
is.
So
It
thank you
is.
for being, yeah, tough on me in a good way, a caring way.
It's
Because
a caring love. It's the coach love, because my job as a coach, you're the athlete.
yeah.
And
So I would ask anybody watching, hey, if you feel Barbara's kind of tough, you know what, hang in there. It's definitely worth it because now I can look back. I got all these built-in tools and new skills I have, and the stuff really works. I'm
mm,
much happier now.
mm,
I'm feeling so much better about myself,
yeah.
and also I know I want to keep learning, but there's a lot to feel really good about,
Yeah.
and so you know,
Well, what I also have always admired about you, Jack, is that you have had a real heart of service, not just ideas of service, but actual service. I mean, you did all kinds of volunteer landscaping work, and you volunteer at the church, and you play all kinds of music, and you've always
mhm.
been almost overcommitted on the volunteering
Yeah,
thing at times, but even before we started our recording here, you and I were talking, and you said, yeah, if anybody wants to call me or reach out and talk to me, I would be happy to talk to them. And uh,
right.
I love that you want to help others.
I
It's
do.
not just like, oh, I'm good, I'm fine now, yay for me. It's like, well, and the Bible says, that with the comfort that God comforts us, so we can comfort others, so we can encourage them, right? Because somebody helped us get stronger and better and a little more in tune with where we want to be and go. And we can actually kind of be a mentor or a friend or an encourager to somebody else who's just getting started on
Oh,
self-esteem.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would love to encourage anybody that's maybe a little hesitant or a little nervous or sees themselves looking at a big uphill struggle.
Yeah.
They've, had some problems in relationships caused by, you know, their neuro neurodiverse brain. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to tell them, hey, I've been there. Let me tell you what I went through. Let me tell you, I had doubts. I had discouragement. I think maybe the first uh going meeting with you as a neurodiverse couple, I think I was like crying in the first meet. I was like,
Mm.
"Oh yeah, I'll go with the counseling," and then like I thought I was really, "Oh yeah, I'm great. There's nothing I have to work on," And I think I was like crying after the first meeting, but I was like, "Okay, I'm not going to quit."
Yeah.
But
Well, you also, you're a man of God, and
mhm,
you know that God loves you.
yeah,
And we none of us are mistakes. We make mistakes, but none of us are mistakes.
no,
And we're all kind of growing up, we're all banging into things until we figure out how to go around them. And I have a new little granddaughter in my life, and just watching her try to move her head, just,
yeah,
just the
right,
simplest movements of it. But every day she's learning something new, and she's not upset that she can't do what we all can do. She's like, I'll get there, just
right,
another 5 months, I'll get there.
hmm
So I think that's what I see in the work I get to do, is that because you're like my age, we're mid 60s and all, and
hmm
or young 60s, and
yeah,
honestly, with health, like you and I are fairly healthy. We God could have us here another 30 years.
hmm
I mean, we're not checking out
yeah.
anytime soon.
Yeah, I
So
want to be in good shape for all that. I want to be ready
absolutely.
for it. I
And the mental, connecting the mind, connecting the behavior, connecting the heart, it's all about living life to the fullest, the healthiest, for our own benefit and those of whom we love and whom
right.
God is still going to bring into our path, right? And I know, for instance, that like you mentioned, giving people a bonus at work, for reading the I Hear You book, but I know, like, a lot of times you said, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta take my team out for margaritas. It's our night out," and you
Mhm.
you do a lot for your employees to motivate them, and
Yeah,
like you pay their health club membership so they're more fit, and
right,
like you give them goals and stuff. And I just think
right.
it's like amazing. I think that's like you're the
Oh,
boss of everyone's dreams.
oh, thanks, Bar. I just I wasn't always this way, but I just think now I just I just want, hey, I just want to give them really the best, really make their lives better, do everything I can to, be a good leader, which is allowing them to be their best version of themselves, but pick up on things that I've learned, like which is like healthy habits, like you know, exercise and eating right and things like that. I've
Mhm.
really been big on fitness since I was younger, so like I wanted them to do some things I used to do, like, hey, I signed up for this race and the Shamrock Shuffle. I'm going to do that, and then a couple of people don't swim. Hey, look, they have swimming lessons over there. If you swim, I'm going to put a bonus out there for that.
Wow.
Mainly because I don't want you to fall in and not be able to swim where you
Yeah.
drown,
Right.
but stuff like, hey, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, we're doing it.
Well, you know
They're
what?
it's
And that
fun.
that metaphor that, the whole idea of swimming, I was, yeah, I was just, I don't know, I was vacuuming my house or something, and this idea popped into my head that, I used to not know how to swim when I was like second grade. I didn't know how to
Oh,
swim. I
uh-huh.
I went to the beach and I used to pretend that I could do the crawl because I was holding the ground underneath and
Yeah.
kind of pretending, right? And in third grade, my mom put me into first aid, of Red Cross swimming lessons at the beach, and um, I remember the day that I put my face in the water with my hands pointed forward and pushed off and blew bubbles and kicked my legs, and I was gliding on the surface of the water. And that was the first time I moved on the water, staying afloat, not sinking. And I went maybe 10 feet, big deal. But it was the beginning. And I remember learning to swim. And Jack, what I realized that day vacuuming was, now that I know how to swim, I can never unlearn that.
Oh, that's a good thought. Yeah.
Right. And so a
Right.
lot of what I think about when I'm coaching someone like you or anybody, because I coach, the wives of neurodiverse men too, or their kids, is that when they learn how to support themselves in a new way, when they learn and
Mhm.
understand how to make progress and what it is to swim and navigate something they couldn't do before, once they've learned that, they're never going to forget that.
Right. You don't go with the like these tools you're teaching me. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to go. I don't want to be where I used to be. Yeah, I was doing okay, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You when you have the tools, you
Yeah.
you're not going to learn them. There's no way.
No, but
No way.
and it's because you've actually become a new person. You're
Yeah.
changing, right?
Right.
It's sort of like when you're, when you can't walk as a 9-month-old or something, and then by the time you're one, you can not only walk, you can probably run across the living room, right? And
Oh,
chase your older
my
brother. It's
yeah,
like,
my sister was over the other night and she's like, "Oh, you're so happy now. You used to be kind of I go, "Really? No, I don't know. You were really you were yeah, you were intense or whatever, but you're like so much nicer now or whatever." Like, wow,
wow,
thanks. This is my
wow,
sister.
wow.
And
Well, she would
she
know. She's probably
oh,
known
she
you the
does.
longest.
Wow, she is like she's really thinks I'm doing she won't stop. She goes, "You're so nice now." I go, "Oh, okay." I thought it was nice before, but
I know. But
but
and so and you too, you've been a man of faith for a long time, but I
Mhm.
think there's a difference between knowing something the right thing to do and doing it. And it's the doing the right thing over and over that changes you and gives you faith in who you're becoming, and you see the success of that. And now you want to learn something else new that you can do and something else new that you can do. And now you're kind of hooked on growing. I
yeah.
don't think I'll be able to keep up with you,
Oh,
Jack.
thanks, Barbara. It's good. Yeah, I want to keep it going. No way I'm gonna stop. Right?
Well,
There's
that's
stuff.
so
There's
great.
stuff that there's. I'm sure there's more I can learn going forward.
Well, another idea that I just want to put out there for anyone listening, I've been talked to a couple of different times. I've tried to start groups for men that are neurodiverse, like yourself, Jack, but I've
Uh-huh.
never had enough guys that wanted to do it. And you told me also before we went on that you were open to that. So I'm going
Sure.
to start putting this little webcast out to some people that as I'm, taking in some new clients and we always have a little bit of a time difference. We have to find a night and a time that works for everybody. But I would like to, just put it out there in the universe that I'm willing to organize that as a hub. And if I have somebody like you, Jack, and maybe another guy or two other guys or whatever, and even if it's more of a drop in, not a regular thing, it can't always be regular. Let's see what God does with that, and
Okay.
who we
I
can.
think it's a great idea. I
Yeah,
definitely would be in on that.
yeah. I really,
And
really appreciate
I
that.
know I could, it helped if I can, redefine, in concise language. Hey, here's where I was, here's where I am now, here's what I learned. If it helps me to
Yeah.
just go through that from
Well,
time
it
to
does.
time too.
It's like it's our narrative.
Yeah, that's
When
it.
we retell the happy good story, the story
Right.
of hope, we believe it more and more each time because
That's
our real
that's
if
a great way to state
the
it.
flip thing is the same. If we just complain all the time about our lives and the people in our lives and complain,
That'll
and
be the narrative. Right.
then we just are stuck in the doldrums. We'll never
Hmm.
get out of that. So, yeah,
Hmm.
awesome. Well,
Right.
any last words for
Yeah, I
whoever?
do. I had 3 points and I wanted to
Yeah.
go this. I'm looking at my email to you. Number three was that I put down, I have a much better understanding of how unique uh my mind and body works. Okay, I have a much better so I understand like my operating manual as I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And but one of the things I put down is I have a lot better self-esteem now. Like I used to wonder like I had, I was kind of like I think people were like confused because I did some things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little like I couldn't figure out why I doubted myself and I just felt like I don't know, my self-esteem wasn't that great. But now I feel a lot better I understand myself, but the result is I don't doubt why people want to be my friend now. I feel better And that's really, really a big help to have, to understand myself, feel better about myself, better self-esteem. And then I'm also, you've helped me to realize I can choose to be with people who appreciate me, uh, people that love me, people that respect respect healthy boundaries. The
Yes.
people that don't, I can choose to protect myself
Yeah.
and stay. These are healthy boundaries, and if you they don't understand or respect that, I can back away. But I
Right.
didn't have those. I didn't understand those concepts, and it really helps my mental health and well-being and my self-esteem, everything. So as
Yeah.
a result from all those things together, I'm feeling a lot better about myself, and that's really great. So that was the final thing I wanted to.
Oh, I love it that you shared that, Jack. That is such a
Hope I
story.
said that well.
Well, it's beautiful, true. It's true, and I
Okay.
witnessed it, and you're living proof,
Yeah.
and you're going still full steam ahead. So,
So
not
there's some things I picked up. Mhm. Okay.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Jack, and I
You're
will
welcome.
send you the link when I get this put up on my YouTube, and, feel
Okay.
free to share it. We'll share it with whomever we need to bless them and encourage them, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm just fired up that I know you. What a blessing you
Hey, great. I appreciate you having me on today. Thanks so much, Barbara.
Okay.
See you
Take care.
soon. Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.